it be salted? Where's it going to get the flavor from? It is thenceforth good for nothing. So if you're teaching something contrary to what the Most High wants you to teach, you lost your salt. You lost your flavor, so to speak. So what is the Most High going to do? He's going to cast you out. All right? It said, it is thenceforth good for nothing but to be cast out and to be trodden on the foot of men. Because all these false philosophies out here, this black consciousness stuff and this Christianity nonsense and all this other stuff, people are gonna reject it, man. Then they're gonna come to the truth, which is Israel. But then when you come to Israel, you have levels to the nation of Israel, man. You got different groups out there. We are the number one group. That's why all them other groups hate us, man. Okay?
Yeah, that's right. You got something possible?
Yeah. Go ahead. That's
All right. Yeah. So that's the bottom line. And then all these different nations, they talk shit about Jake, but guess what? They make their money from Jake. They get their styles from Jake. Even when you watch like the news or different commercials, the sayings that they use in these commercials, they're sayings that Jake used to say back in the days. But they always talk about how Jakes are animals, they're this, they're that, the other. But you steal all the virtues of these people you call a nobody.
Yeah, that's right. This goes back to what Elder Apostle Tal said about the truth. The book of 2 Corinthians 13 and 8, for we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. So at the end of the day, truth is going to prevail.
That's it.
All right, and that knocks you out, you black consciousness monkeys, because you ain't coming with truth. You're coming with a lot of psychobabble. That's what you're coming with. That's going to be pushed out the way, and the truth is going to come with that left hook and pow! Take you out the box, man. Take you out the frame. Truth is going to kick your ass, and you can't do nothing. You can't do nothing against the truth, but before the truth.
That's it.
All right.
Yep. That's why nowadays, or it's been coming out, that all this history that was taught, that was supposedly white man's history, the whitewashing of it, is all coming out now, that it was black people that were ruling in those different regions, or people of color, should I say.
That's right. And if we were so insignificant, why the black consciousness movement, why they always mentioning the Israelites? Why they always want to have a debate with the Israelites? I don't care whatever Israelite group that's out there, but they're interested in the Israelites. They want to use the Israelites in their thing. Why? Because we're not insignificant.
It says, this is from the Zondervan Groups, which we read this periodically. It says ham. Now the word ham means hot, right? It's from the Hebrew or the Lashon Kodash or the Aramaic. All right, we're gonna show you that the Aramaic is nothing but Hebrew. All right, which means hot. The word there, the word is come. All right, that's why these black consciousness guys, when they go back to the so-called black Africans, they all say what? That those are Kemites, or they come from Kem. Why do they say Kem? Because they're saying the actual name of Ham, the son, the youngest son of Noah. He was the middle boy of Noah, which is was Nawak, which means comfort or comforter. All right. All people that you see today that walk up in there, whether it's the East Indian, the so-called Chinese, Arab, a so-called African, so-called white man, all these different people that you see of these different countries and these different ethnicities go back to who? They go back to either one of three people: Ham, Sham, or Yapat. All right? Which they came from Nawak, which is Noah. Because that's why you can't go no further back than come. Because if you go past that, you would have to go you have to talk about Noah or Nawak. Noah. I'm gonna read this here. Ham, perhaps Hot, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood, he became the progenitor of the dark races. Now you notice it says not the Negroes. These scholars that put this book together, these writers that put this book together, they said not the Negroes. Then they go on to say, but the Egyptians, which are the actual name of Egypt is a Greek term. When the Greeks took them over, the Greeks named that Egypt, all right? Egyptus. Ethiopians, another Greek term, which means burnt faces, when you look it up. Libyans, all right? And Canaanites. Now, they kept the word Canaan because that was one of the actual sons. It says, he became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Why did they exclude the Negroes? And they don't tell you who the Negroes are, because they know who the Negroes are, but they're not going to tell you who the Negroes are.
Indirectly, they're telling you right there who they are, you know. But you know, like I said, you know, all people of color are not the same people. You know, you have to differentiate because the Elamites or the East Indians, they're dark skinned. You know, you had the original Iranians, the Persians, they were dark skinned. You know, which are the same as the Elamites. You know, you had the Hamites. You know, they're dark skinned. You had the sons of Japhet. They were people of color. You know, then you had the only people that were different were the Edomites, so-called white people. Those are the ones that had the different color, different texture, you know, of whatever. And that's the reason why when they came into power, they had to change everything around and turn everything upside down, you know, because they were coming back into power. That's why they named that period when they started coming back into power the Renaissance, which the word Renaissance means rebirth. You know, the word Renaissance means rebirth. You know, why was it known as a rebirth? Because that was them coming back into power. You know, so they had to reestablish themselves, or should I say, because they did have kings going back during the time of King David and them. They did have, after they revolted against King David, they had kings that ruled, you know, but when they fell and were put into that obscurity for a period of 1,000 years, they had to reestablish themselves. And that's why they did what they did. You know, you have a term called iconoclasm, you know, and the term iconoclasm basically means the defacing of an image. And that's what they did all throughout Europe. You know, and that's why you look at those pictures now. And then when you look at the pictures, the old pictures, you could see the features, but then you could see that it was whitewashed. It was painted over. You know, but then the newer pictures from the Renaissance, you could see that they were just straight up lily white crackers, you know, because they had to change the whole face of the world, because how can they rule in a world that was ruled by black people? People would not respect them. You know, that's why even my man Gamal Abdel Nasser said, look, I can't respect those Jews. He said this back in 1956, I believe. He said, you came out of Israel black, and then how are you going to return white? Because they knew.
Yeah, even in Yahoo, they asked that question. Why do scholars say, this is from Yahoo Answers, why do scholars say Negroes are not African? And usually they have a best answer, you know, to the question. And when you read the best answer, I just go right to the point. It says, that's how the so-called byword Negroes got into the continent of Africa. Our ancestors were thrown out of Jerusalem, where they originally lived. So the answer is no, you know. So-called Negroes are not African. They're actually from Israel, from the land of Israel. And even in this blog, that's written there. So basically what that's showing is the truth is getting out. You know, the truth is getting out, man. Hey, the scriptures say the glory of the Lord shall cover the earth like the waters, you know. So the glory of the Lord is this truth. Once again, going back to the truth. And you can't stop it. The truth is a juggernaut that mows through everything, and you can't stop it, man. You can do nothing against the truth but be for the truth. You know, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, Khan. You know, and now when the Roman Empire was in power, it was ruled by them so-called white Caesars, them Edomite Caesars. But eventually, in process of time, through generals that they had in the military, the Praetorian Guards, black so-called black Praetorian Guards, generals, commanders, centurions, that were in the military, and some entered into the Senate. After a period of time, those white rulers were pretty much taken down, and the so-called black man was starting to rule throughout Europe. That's where you get that transition from. And one of the first ones that really, well, actually, Marcus Aurelius, Apostle Tar did he called in the live show last week, and he did a segment on Marcus Aurelius and Commodus, and you look at certain pictures of them, you can see that they were so-called black men, Israelites, and then after that, the rest of those, the majority of those emperors coming in, and later on in history, all of them, they were all so-called black. They came into power. So you have so-called Negroes that ruled in England. You had so-called Negroes that ruled in Germany. You had so-called Negroes that ruled in Spain and all throughout Europe and Asia. But the problem is that you're not being taught this in the schools because they don't want you to know about that history. It's bad enough right now. They're trying to get rid of they're trying to get rid of slavery out of the history books because it's a sting to them. It's an offense. It's an embarrassment because they know what they did was wicked. That's why they're trying to take that out, and that's why they're not trying to let you know the real history of what was going on in the world. I got a quick precept here. This is Job 13:4. It says, "But ye are forgers of lies. You are all physicians of no value." Because that's what they do. They forge lies. They come up with lies on the wing. They're taught if the truth comes out, you have a term called plausible deniability. You're supposed to deny it at all costs. Act stupid. Act like you don't know what they're talking about. And that's what they do. Whenever you hit them with the facts, they act like that you didn't even say anything.
Yeah, that's a technique that Esau uses. I got an account for you. This is from a website entitled Rasta Live Wire. And it says, the black emperors of Rome. Roman Emperor Caracalla. Okay, Lucius Septimius Bassianus, commonly known as Caracalla, was a black Roman emperor who ruled from 211 to 217 AD. Caracalla was the eldest son of Septimius Severus, the first black African-born emperor of Rome. But before Septimius Severus, there had been another Roman-born black emperors, or there had been other Roman-born black emperors of Rome. This story of the other black emperors of Rome will be exploited in another write-up, but for now we focus on Caracalla. So basically on this site they're focusing on the emperor Caracalla, which you're looking at his picture now, and you can clearly see he's a so-called black man. All right, and his father was Septimius Severus. So what does that make his father? All right, and by the way, it says, unlike his father, Septimius Severus, Caracalla was born and raised in Italy. I thought they had no blacks in Italy. Some guys believe that. That's why they want to cling to that old wives' tale of Cornelius being an Edomite, because there simply was no blacks in Italy. They say Cornelius was of the Italian band. Yeah. So that makes him that makes him an Edomite. But here we're reading about Caracalla, and he was born in Italy, which means his father, Septimius Severus, traveled to Italy, was in Italy. Yep. All right?
Which proves that Israel was down there, because this is further in the future after Yahushua came and went. This is further in the future. During that time when Paul was the apostle, he that was around the time when Claudius expelled Israel out of Rome.
Yeah, and last week it was Elder Apostle Tar brought out the reasons why they were expelled from Rome. their expulsion from Rome is because they were raised in hell, man. They were raised in hell in the Roman Empire.
Yeah, I looked up Vitilius, right? He's one of the 4 rulers. If you type in, go to Google and put the year of the 4 Caesars,
Right. Con.
he was one of them, right?
Con.
Now that was during the time. Well, this is before Titus. This is before they besieged Jerusalem, and he was one of the 4 that died. Got killed at an early age. Like he didn't rule. Like I said, there were 4 emperors, 4 Caesars inside of a year, or a little bit more than a year. So, like I said, when you type in the year of the 4 Caesars, it'll mention this guy. And like I said, this is around about the time of 70 AD, a little before 70 AD. Okay, had to be around 68 AD if you look it up. I believe that was the year. Now bring this mic over here.
Yeah, you're gonna find out a lot of stuff you've been taught is a whole bunch of crap,
Lies, man, lies.
bunch of lies.
That's why we got to come with the truth. It's truth time. There you go.
That's Vitilius. Now you notice his nose is chopped off,
Right.
and you can see his face. He looked like a bunch of Negroes I know.
Yeah.
He looked like somebody in the camp that I know.
You look like the kind of nigga that always show up to a barbecue party.
Yep, that's right. That's right. You see, notice how and then they say when you research this, they said this is the authentic bust of Vitilius, because what Esau did was he had made other busts and Edomized them, man. Okay?
Yeah.
That just shows you, man. Even back then, during the time of because remember we spoke about Tiberius Julius Alexander. He was
Right.
an Israelite that was a general in the Roman army. So you had Caesars in there for a very short period of time at that time that were ruling.
And he came with that flavor. We talked about the savor. We talked about the salt. We talked about Israelites having that flavor. He came with the flavor to win the battles for Alexander the Creep. Because why? Because he was an Israelite. And he was a so-called black man. Going back to what I'm reading here about Caracalla. Unlike his father Septimius Severus, Caracalla was born and raised in Italy, which means he spoke Italian, all right? Which back then was Latin, because that's what Italian is. Italian, Portuguese, French, Spanish, they're really all derived from Latin. They're what the so-called romantic languages, all right? Let's see if there's any more on that. Yeah. After the death of his father, Septimius Severus, he ruled jointly with his younger brother, Geta. So if Caracalla was a so-called black man, what was his younger brother? His younger brother, Geta, until the latter's death in 211.
I got another picture, right? 2 pictures to show you. And this is from the book Imperial Rome. Well, it says great ages of man, Imperial Rome. Hold that to my mouth. Here you got a list of the Caesars, right? You'll see it in post-production. The men who ruled the empire, right?